Near Williamsport, Pennsylvania, are a beautiful sight in the late August of 1965. There's a small threat of rain today, but at the moment, it's cool and comfortable. And there's also a special vibrancy in the air, the vibrancy that comes to Williamsport just one day of each year. Because this is the afternoon when the final game of the Little League World Series of 1965 will be played here in the ballpark in Williamsport. The finalists today will be the teams from Windsor Locks, Connecticut, and the first Canadians ever to make the final game, the boys from Stoney Creek near Hamilton, Ontario in Canada. I'm Jim McKay, and working with us this afternoon is going to be one of the great baseball players of all time, a very safe thing to say, in a very comfortable and accustomed position here at second base, Jackie Robinson. Jack, it's always good to get back to Williamsport in this Little League thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Jim, because I feel that the Little Leagues do so very much for our youngsters, so it's good to be back again.
Well, I think we'll see ample evidence of what you've just said as this ball game goes on this afternoon. Right now, we'd like you to meet yet another member of our commentary team, our expert on kids here today, Sonny Fox.
Thank you very, very much, Jim. And here is the Windsor Locks team. First base, Dale Missick. Dale, you're the biggest member of the team. What do you weigh in at?
180.
I hope your batting average is higher.
Well,
okay, good for you. Bob Creech, second base. Bob, come on over here. Bob, you've got a little song, I understand. Talk about superstitions. You listen to this. What's the song you have to sing 4 times before every game?
Windsor Locks.
Would you sing just one verse for us?
Windsor Locks. I can't. Windsor Locks will win tonight, and so won't the fight team fight.
And you got to sing that 4 times before the game starts. All right. Where's Bill Boardman here? He plays shortstop. Bill also has a superstition. What's yours, Bill?
I wear red socks.
You got them on today?
Yes.
Let's see if they work. Steve Shearer, third base. Steve, you haven't been eating too well. Did you have good breakfast this morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good for you. Where's Michael O'Connor, left field? Michael also has a superstition. What do you do about your socks?
I turn them inside out.
You got them that way today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Center field is Fran Aniello. How do you feel today, Fran?
Good.
Good, huh? Right field, Ted Holmes. Good luck to you, Ted.
Thanks.
Catcher is Wayne Arendt. Good luck to you today, Wayne.
Thanks, sir.
And pitcher, Mike Roach. Mike is not only the good pitcher on the team, but he's also the big chow hound. How many turkey dinners did you have at one sitting?
3.
Right, well, let's see how they work for you today. The rest of the team as follows. Thomas Billich, Howie Tersevich, Bruce Ackerlind, Phil Devlin, who fell out of bed this morning, and Albert Barrett. Manager is Bob O'Connor, and that's the way the team shapes up today. Back to you, Jim McKay.
Okay, Sonny, thanks very much. Now let's meet the boys who are going to try to bring honor to that brand new beautiful flag of Canada today. At first base will be Gary Barkowicz, right here. The second baseman will be Darrell Ostrasser. Here's the shortstop, little Ricky Ferroni. And the third baseman, Carl Betts. The left fielder is big Ron Kenny. And here's the center fielder, Jeff Dalton. In right field, we'll have Brad Ackles. And the starting catcher will be Doug Smees. Here's the pitcher for Canada, Joe Palango. The other members of the team, Doug McKay, a fine upstanding name, Len Bromley. Here is Bill Lockhart, Jim Blykoff, and Dave Sutton. That rounds out the team. The managers are George Bender and Bert Carrigan. We'll be back in just a minute then with the first pitch of the final game of the 1965 Little League World Series. Hiya. Again, we're back in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, under somewhat lowering skies on a cool August afternoon, ready for the first pitch of the final game of the 1965 Little League World Series. A few facts here. The bases are 60 feet apart in Little League ball as opposed to 90 feet in regulation kind of baseball. The pitcher's mound is 46 feet from home plate. It used to be 44. They moved it back a couple of feet just a couple of years ago. As for the foul lines, they are 200 feet, equidistant, all the way around the ballpark. The wind is kind of swirling around in this little valley here, but generally it seems to be blowing towards left field. It'll be a little bit in the pitcher's face. However, as we said, it's been changing quite a bit as we go along. Pitching for the Canadian team, which is the official home team here this afternoon, is going to be number 10, Joe Palango. Joe's a good record. And seems to have a little bit of stuff on the ball, Jack. He's not one of those big, burly youngsters we used to see up until they moved the pitcher's mound back in Little League ball.
And he has a very fine motion, as you pointed out, Jim, and if he's able to control his pitches during the course of the ball game, I think he's going to be a very effective young man out on that mound.
Joe Palango is 5 feet 6.5, actually, weighs 117 pounds. Now standing in as the first batter for Windsor Locks, Connecticut, is going to be little Mike O'Connor. He wears number 1. He's their left fielder and the littlest fellow on the team. 4 feet 9 3/4 inches and 86 pounds. Hits the ball. The plate umpire is Frank Rizzo, who is the umpire-in-chief of Little League Baseball. 1-1. He takes a ripple for 4 feet 9.
Yes, and the crowd is quite enthusiastic, Jim. As you know, there's people from Canada, 6,000, 2,000 are about here.
That's right. He wanted to bunt one that time, but it goes as a strike. A ball and 2 strikes now. The first batter of the ball game.
One thing about these teams, they've certainly been taught fundamentals. These coaches have gone really over all the fundamentals and done a good job with them.
Got by the catcher. That ball, that evens the count at 2-2. Of course, fundamentals are everything to kids at this age, and without good coaching, they would have do just the opposite usually. They would have picked up the idiosyncrasies before the fundamentals, doesn't it?
Well, that's very true, Jim.
Down ball to second base. And the first out of the ball game has been registered. It's Darrell Ostrasser at second base. Throwing the ball over to Gary Barkowicz, the first baseman of Windsor Locks.
He moved over Jim like a major leaguer, made a nice play, came up with the ball very nicely, and made a fine throw to first base for the first out of the ball game.
And you know how proud he'll be to hear that you said that about him, Jack.
Well, he looked very good. We might as well pass it on to him.
Robert Creech is the batter now. And again a chance for the second baseman.
Well, I tell you, these kids aren't big on this Canadian ball club. If you look at that shortstop, he's probably the smallest man on that team, but he is jumping around like a little jack in the box, and they say he's a spark plug. You can understand why. He's really hustling out there, and that second baseman who made the play, I didn't think he had a chance at it, Jim. He went back and leaped as high as he possibly could go and came down with the ball.
The batter now is Francis Anello, the center fielder for Windsor Locks. He's a big boy, 5 feet 7 1/2, and he weighs 146 pounds. This is pretty big at the age of 12.
That's right. You have to wonder about his coordination, but they seem to do quite well. But if you notice, you talked about this pitcher. He has a motion that's very fine. He changes pitches. It comes with the fast one, Jim. Comes with the same motion and throws a curveball off. But this goes right back again to the teaching of fundamentals. This is why I think Little League Baseball can be very, very fine to these youngsters.
Count is 2-0, and now it's 2-1. Notice they have a protective screen in front of each dugout, which is also a very good idea for any youngsters playing ball whenever it can be provided.
They do everything here possible to protect the kids. They got doctors all the way around here. The slightest injury, the doctors are out on the field tending to it. So you can see that they realize the importance of taking care of these youngsters.
This fellow's a 342 hitter, but he went for that one. 2-2. 2 out, nobody on, top of the first inning, Little League World Series. The batter, Francis Anello. And hits the dirt about a foot in front of the plate.
You notice that was a change-up off of the fastball. I mean, this is not a kid that's come out and somebody said, take the ball and throw it. This is a youngster who has been taught change of bases, curveballs, everything else. So they're really going into the fundamentals. I think the coaches of the Canadian team should be congratulated.
He got him. That also hit the ground in front of the plate, but it was breaking so sharply that the batter went for it.
Notice that great motion that he had. And as I say, these guys know what they're doing. And if you see the desire on the faces of these kids, you know that they really want to win this ball game. They want to bring honor to their city.
So 1/2 inning has gone into the record books. The East got no runs, no hits, and no errors. And Canada is coming to bat. We'll be back in just a minute at the Little League World Series. With first inning in the Little League World Series, the pitcher on the mound for the Connecticut team is Mike Roach, 5'5", 132. Outside. The batter is Darrell Ostrasser, who is the second baseman for the Canadian team, 4 feet 11 1/2, 91 pounds.
He made a couple fine plays in the infield. Let's see what he can do as a hitter.
Well, too, there's that old thing, you know, they always say in the majors, Jackie, that if a fellow makes a great play, he'll be first up in the next inning, and it holds true here, too.
It certainly does. He made one play that we never thought he would get to.
Right down the middle. He throws pretty hard.
He throws not only hard, but if you look at his motion, it looks like the motion of a big league ball player. He's copied somebody, or somebody has taught him that, and he looks very good at it. He's got, I think, good control as well.
2-2. Excuse me, 3-1. Ball 3, strike 1 to Darrell Ostrasser. The team at bat, remember, represents Stoney Creek, Ontario, Canada, which is a suburb of Hamilton. And he's got a man on base. Base on balls to Ostrasser. And that's going to bring up the little shortstop, Ricky Ferroni, who is 4 feet 7 and weighs 89 pounds. I think this is the littlest player on the ball field today.
It certainly appears to be, but there's nobody out there with more pep and more vinegar than this kid. He really fights you all the way.
The ball.
I don't know, this young fellow, with all of his motions and delivery and the appearance that he has, is having trouble finding home plate right now. It could be that he's a nervous youngster at this point.
And there's a wild pitch. The runner going down to second. Turns second, but he's going to hold up there. You see, you can steal bases in Little League Baseball, but you must not take a lead off the bag until after the ball has arrived in the catcher's mitt or has been hit.
That's right. If you'll notice, it's completely different than Major League Baseball. The youngster on base will keep his foot tied to that base until the ball does get to the catcher or passes the hitter, because I believe that they allow the pitcher to wind up in the Little Leagues, and because of the possibility of him hurting his arm and different things of that nature.
That's ball 3. It's 3-0 now. 3 balls and no strikes for little Ricky Ferroni. And he kind of keeps the pitcher on edge. He's moving around in that box all the time, Jackie, being as distracting as he can, working the count.
He's a peppy little guy. He tries to do everything he can to disrupt him.
On a 3-0 pitch, he bunts. The play is to first. The runner goes to third. Well, that's a strategy you would not see in the majors.
No, not 3-0. I think in the first inning you would try to get as many men on the base as you can, but I would assume that the thinking here is that there will not be too many runs scored, and if they can get the man to third and then get him home, then they will play defensive baseball. That's the way the strategy appears to me at this point.
Now it's going to be pitcher against pitcher, and in Little League, often the pitchers are also the best hitters. Joe Palango is at the plate. Swinging foul. No balls and 1 strike. There's only 1 away, and there's a runner on third base.
If they sacrifice his third, they may sacrifice... Oh.
Now he's way out of the batter, 0-2.
I'm just going to call it. If they sacrifice in the third, I thought perhaps they might try to squeeze him home as a safety kind of a squeeze.
Roach shakes one off now. He wants another call from his catcher and gets it. That was in the dirt. Hits just in front of the plate, 1-2.
Well, that catcher certainly stayed with that pitch and came up with it as cleanly as he possibly could.
That's right, and if he had let it go, the run, in all probability, could have come in. Little looper to the first baseman. They're going to have to hold on at third. Dale Missick, who fielded that ball at first base, by the way, is supposed to be quite a hitter. We'll be seeing him in the next inning.
Well, he's a big one, and I don't know, this delivery that Palango has may confuse him a little bit, but we'll have to wait till next inning to see.
Here's another of the bigger boys on the Canadian team, Gary Barkowitz, the first baseman, who is also a pitcher. He's pitched a couple of games in this World Series.
I was talking to the manager, Jim, before the ball game, and he was just raving about his ability. He said that he didn't miss more than 4 times, according to the umpire, during the entire game, inside and out.
Strike on the inside corner, right at the knees. Looks like a pretty good pitch. That evens the count at 1-1 with 2 men out. Right down the middle. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Mike Roach, after a bit of a shaky start, is really firing that ball.
Yes, he was probably nervous at this time. I guess I want to see this youngster. He's a kind of a guy like some of the guys in Major Leagues who spreads their hands apart when they hit. Now, this is the kind of guy who generally just meets the ball. He would not be considered a power hitter, so maybe Roach is the youngster that would just meet it and hope to get the ball in between the fielder someplace.
2-2 is the count. And that's it. You got him out of there. For Canada. No runs, no hits, no error. And in the bottom of the first, one man was left on third base of the score at the end of the first inning. Is Connecticut nothing and Canada nothing. Well, Jack, in the top of the second inning in the Little League World Series championship game here in Williamsport, PA this afternoon, Windsor Locks, Connecticut failed to score. Dale Missick walked. However, then Bill Boardman flied out to right field. Ted Holmes was safe on a fielder's choice that went from the right fielder to the shortstop, and then Mike Roach hit a fly ball to the first baseman. So Windsor Locks had failed to score in the top of the second, and the score was still nothing.
We now join ABC.
But at this moment, we'd like to welcome a number of stations around the country who have just joined us following the conclusion of Major League Baseball on ABC this afternoon. As we went to the bottom of the second inning, then the score was Windsor Locks nothing, Stoney Creek, Canada nothing. Let's get back to the play right now. We're back at the Little League World Series. No hits in the ball games. If our scoreboard indicated one hit a while ago, it was wrong. That's a swinging strike to the first hitter in the bottom of the second inning, who is Ron Kenny, the left fielder of the Canadian team. Now, Ron is the biggest boy on that team, 5'6" and 170 pounds. Ball 1-1. This is Jim McKay, along with Jackie Robinson, our expert commentator, and Sonny Fox at Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Little League World Series. That's a strike. 1-2. From here, by the way, I'll be moving on to Akron, Ohio, where tomorrow ABC will bring you exclusively the American Golf Classic. Chris Schenkel and Bill Fleming are already on the scene out there. Should be interesting. That was high. 2-2 now.
Jim, you know, as I look at these kids out here, I can't help but to point out what I think is a wonderful opportunity for youngsters to participate in Little League Baseball, and I'll get back to that in a little while.
Okay, swinging, strike three. He's out of there.
Jim, I point this out because, you know, we're constantly hearing people saying that Little League Baseball is bad for these youngsters, but how in the world, when you see what's going on here at Williamsport, that we can say this is bad? I think they're being taught at 11 and 12 years of age the values of winning and losing. Now, when these kids are through playing, 20 minutes after the ball game is over, Jim, they're up there playing together and having a lot of fun.
Ball. There certainly is a cliche that has gained a certain amount of currency, Jackie, that it's kind of popular in some circles to say Little League is bad for kids. I couldn't agree with you more. To teach a kid how to be a competitor can't be bad. That's a ball. Two and 0 is the count to Jeff Dalton, the Canadian center fielder. One away and nobody on in the bottom of the second inning. No score in the Little League World Series.
Of course, Jim, I want to say there are some times when Little League is bad. This is when the parents and the coaches put too much emphasis on winning.
Exactly.
Telling their kids that they got to get a base hit or no supper at night. This is not the way to build better youngsters.
No, that's for sure. That's ball three. 3-0 to Dalton. And he's on base. Every player on this Canadian team is so obviously charged up, Jackie. He didn't wait. As soon as that ball went past the plate, that bat was gone, and he was down to first.
Yes, and I think, Jim, the reason for it is that they've been coming down here for a number of years, but this is the first time that they've been into the finals, and they're really enthused about it.
This is Brad Ackles, the right fielder, with a nice bunt. And he's safe at first, second. The other runner is flying for third base, and he's going to make it. And here goes the man who bunted down into second. Tremendous base running by Canada. How about that, Jack?
That's really heads-up play. He looked all the way around. He saw the third baseman was in. He saw that the shortstop was not covering third, and without hesitating, he rounded second base, went in standing up, and I must say that they are being well taught to keep their heads up in a manner like this. And I certainly feel that his Canadian coaches at this point ought to be congratulated for having their youngsters alert as they are at this point.
There's only one out. That base running was rather reminiscent of a fellow named Jackie Robinson just a few years ago.
Well, that's awfully nice of you, but I tell you, these kids at this age, learning it right now, this is why you have to point. This is great. Learning this kind of thing now has to hold him in good stead later on in life. It can't hurt them at all.
And seriously, Jackie, wasn't that kind of like your style of base running? In other words, your style in stealing was not a pure blinding speed. It was that being alert and getting the jump, wasn't it?
Well, that was mainly what my function was. I tried to upset the defense as much as I possibly can. I took advantage, as that youngster did there, any kind of a mistake on the part of the defense.
Men on second and third, one away, bottom of the second inning. The batter is Carl Betts, the third baseman, in the dirt, and the catcher saved that one again.
If you notice that third baseman, he was alert when that ball went down. He took that couple of first steps to see where the ball was going. If it went past him, he would have been in home without too much trouble.
15,000 people gathered in the grandstands and on the hillsides in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, watching this. That's ball 2-0. And Mike Roach, the pitcher for the Connecticut team, in trouble. It's an anxious moment around the Hartford, Connecticut area right now, because that's where Windsor Locks is. It's just outside Hartford. That's a strike. He was taking that one, 2-1. Wild pitch. Here comes the runner in from third. The first run of the ball game has scored. And the other runner is down into third.
This is an alert ball club, and they're not only have enthusiasm themselves, but their fans are as lively as, well, I guess we could say the Mets fans there in New York.
That's right. Well, here's a team, these Canadians, much smaller than their opponents, who in this inning so far has turned a walk and a bunt single into a run and a runner on third. The count is 3-1 to the batter, Carl Betts. Strike, 3-2. Remember, that runner on third must keep his foot on the bag until the ball has reached home plate. Ooh, he was hit on the left wrist. He'll take his base, but the question right now is whether the youngster is
We pointed out
badly at all.
Excuse me, look at that doctor. He's out there right away. They've got doctors here to check on these kids. Two of them, as a matter of fact, are out there now. They want to be sure that everything is protected as best they possibly can. And this young fellow is in pain.
Well, he was protecting home plate with the bat, Jack, and he had that left hand and wrist up there, and the ball just caught him on it.
Yes, he'll be in that ball game now. I bet you. It hurts him right now, but unless there's a real break or something, he's going to be down there because the enthusiasm is so much that in the next minute or so, he won't even realize that thing that he was hit on his arm.
He's picking up the bat, I'll tell you that. He thinks he's still up. Of course, he was hit by the ball. Unless it hit the bat, I don't see how it could. He'll be taking his base. He's talking about it right now with Frank Rizzo, the home plate umpire.
Well, what is this? I don't understand it, Jim.
I don't either.
He obviously was hit on the arm. Now, why is he hitting again? This I don't understand. But maybe they have some little league rule that maybe we better pick up and ask a little bit later on, because this one I don't understand.
3-2 is still the count at any rate. And now he's walked. The next batter is the ninth man in the order, the catcher, Doug Sneeze. With one man out, men on first and third. One run in, and that's a strike. A look from our center field camera, and the bunt is foul. Had it been fair, I think it would have been caught by the first baseman. He was charging.
Yes, he would have made it, and they double up the young fellow going down to second because he was just running. He didn't look to see where the ball was bunted. Now we get the official word. Hit by pitcher rule, as we'd thought, Jack, is the same as it is in regular baseball, but the ball hit the bat before it hit his hand. That's what the umpire said. That's a foul. That's what the umpire said, but they'll never convince me that that's what happened, because that ball hit him above his wrist, and if it had hit the bat first, it would have hit him on the fingers or some such thing, not on the wrist.
And there he is, stealing second with the runner on third, and he gets in there easily. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes now with the one away. He's still holding that left wrist. Star Betts out on second base. Here's Smead, the batter, and he struck him out. So there's 2 away now. Runners on second and third, 1 run in the bottom of the second inning, and Canada leads Connecticut 1-0 in the final game of the Little League World Series. Top of the order now, Darrell Ostrasser. Clouds moving in a little bit here now, Jack. Could have some sprinkles before the day is done. Swinging strike. Ostrasser, the batter, walked in the first inning and got around to third base, but was unable to score. There's only been 1 hit in the ball game for either side, and that was a little bunt single in this inning by Brad Ackles.
And that run was set up by heads-up base running. I would certainly feel that at this point, this 1 run can be attributed to the fact that these fellows have played heads-up baseball up to through the second inning.
Strike 3. So Canada's out there, but not before they get 1 run on 1 hit. There were no errors, and there were 2 men left on base. The score at the end of 2 full innings of play, Canada 1, and Windsor Locks, Connecticut, nothing. And now for the top of the third inning at Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the Little League World Series. Canada leads Connecticut 1-0. The Connecticut team representing the eastern United States coming to bat now. They have not had a hit in the ball game, although they had a couple of base runners. The first batter in the top of the third will be Steve Shearer, the third baseman, who has not hit too well in the series. His average 142. He's a little fella, 5 feet 1/2 inch, and he weighs 85 pounds.
Jim, I don't want to keep talking so much about the Canadian coaches. I know that the coaches up Windsor Locks do the same kind of a job, teaching the fundamentals, doing an exceptionally good job. So we want to certainly pay tribute to the job that they've done, because they are one of the 2 teams out of the thousands on thousands of teams that have gotten their teams into the finals of the Little League play.
Great achievement. That first pitch hit the end of the bat with a foul strike, and he let up on him there a little bit, huh?
He's using his head out there. There's no question about it.
No balls and 2 strikes to Steve Shearer, the Connecticut third baseman. And he went for it again. That's 1 out in the top of the third. This Joe Palango, as you said, Jack, just gives him a little bit of everything.
Yes, he reminds me of the young fellow that pitched for Waco, Texas this afternoon. I have not seen, Jim, a finer-looking young fellow than the guy who pitched for Waco. I don't know his name. I was just watching the game, but he certainly showed me something.
That's ball 1 to Wayne Arendt, who is the 9th batter in the order for Connecticut. He is hitting at 0-0-0 in the series. He's 0 for 12 so far. That sometimes can mean he's overdue, as the saying goes.
I remember a guy in the World Series that had a kind of a play like that, Gil Hodges, one year, right. And the fans supported him, and Gil went on to have a fantastic career after that. And certainly this might be the same thing happened to this young fellow.
All outside. Gil was 0 for 23, something like that.
Oh, he had a bad series. And then he carried over to the opening of the baseball season next year, but all of a sudden he broke out.
Now becoming one of the finer young managers in the game of baseball.
Got to give him credit. Got to give him credit.
2-1 is the count. 1 away. And that's 2-2 now. That was a strike. 1 man out. Nobody on. Top of the third. Canada leading 1-0. Next ball. There is Joe Palango. Appearing toward home plate, and the look back from the batter. That remains the same on Wayne Arendt. A high one for a ball 4. And Arendt drops down to first base. So Connecticut has a base runner with 1 away in the top of the third. And we move now again to the top of the order to little Mike O'Connor, all 4 feet 9 3/4 inches of him. He grounded out second to first in the first inning, but he hit the ball fairly solidly.
He did, but you look at that third baseman, he's been 1/3 of the way on him. He must be an awfully fine bunter.
There's a darn good drag bunt down the first baseline, and play is to first. The runner advances. pretty good play on that bunt, though, because that was well hit.
It was well placed. The third baseman came over and got it. And the shortstop, I'm sure remembering what happened in the previous inning where his team went all the way to third, went over and covered third base to prevent the Connecticut man from going around from first to third.
This batter is Bob Creech. He hit a little looping line drive that the second baseman caught in the first inning. Foul tip. The runner will hold at second. 0-1. 2 away. Runner on second. That's the potential tying run out there. Remember, the game is 6 innings in Little League Baseball, not 9. Down ball to shortstop. Tremendous catch, and they got the runner going to the third.
What a play, and what a heads-up play that was. Not only was it a beautiful stop, but he came up going to third base. It would seem to me a kid 12 years of age making a play like that would become flustered, but not little Ricky. He came up, made a play to third base for the third out of the inning. It was a great play, Jim.
Remember the name of that little shortstop. His name is Ricky Ferroni, and he is 4 feet 7 inches tall. 4 feet 7 inches of intelligence and talent. Score at the end of 2.5 innings then. Stoney Creek 1 and Windsor Locks, Connecticut, nothing. Thanks principally to great defensive play by Canada and also fine base running. Let's go down to Sonny Fox on the field again.
Okay, this is the young man who just made that play. What's your name?
Ricky Stoney.
Ricky, did you think you had a prayer on that one?
Yes, I think so.
Or did you just leave your feet and dive?
Sir.
And then you kept your mind about you. How do you feel now?
Oh, okay.
How do you feel? You're going up the bat right now, right?
Yes,
Okay, good luck to you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
What are you chewing?
I'm gum.
Yes, of course. Okay, on your way. That's it down here at the dugout. Lots of excitement.
And
Back
again,
to you,
we
Jim.
see that ancient adage that the fellow who makes the great play is first up the next inning because Ricky's going to be coming up to bat here.
Well, you're not going to see many finer plays than that in Little League, and you're not going to see many finer plays than that in the big league, Jim, because the kid went over with everything he had. He dove out, made the play, and came up going to third base to get the man going into third base. No chance at all to get the guy going over to first.
Ricky Ferroni batted in the first inning. He's the second man in the batting order, and he sacrificed a runner down to second at that time. His team leading 1-0. Bottom of the third. We'll be back in just a minute at the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Little Ricky Ferroni in the batter's box now after that great play. Leading off the bottom of the third of this 6-inning baseball game, unless, of course, it's tied, in which case we'll go on and on. Ooh, wild pitch, very high by Mike Roach. Count is 1-0, and now the sun comes out again on this on-again, off-again day in Williamsport. Weather all over the Midwest and the East has been kind of wild the past couple of days. You probably read about it.
Jim, I can't help but to talk about my enthusiasm here. This just perks me up more than watching the big leaguers out there play.
It is terrific. I hope that we're able to communicate some of that excitement to you people at home. It's not just cute. That's not the word for it at all. This is really exciting here.
Well, they're going all out, boy. I think that this means more to them than anything in their life.
Right, that makes the count 1-2. A ball and 2 strikes to Ricky Ferroni, the first batter in the bottom of the third. His team leading 1-0 in the Little League World Series. And he stays alive. And steps up the pace on that gum chewing about 3 times.
He's a scrapper. They said before the ball game this was a spark. He's proving it.
Ball. Count even at 2-2. Offhand, before you see how it works out with Ricky Ferroni, you wouldn't imagine that this Wallapala would have a chance against Big Mike Roach there, because Roach can really fire that ball.
He's a Eddie Sankey or Phil Rizzuto or little guys that came up and really know they have to put that extra out, and they're hustling all the time. And this is what little Ricky Ferroni has done.
Full count. And he got a walk. And he doesn't walk the first, he runs. Now let's take a look at that great play of Ricky Ferroni's in slow motion. Here it is, Jack.
Well, I'm going to tell you, this play is one of the real great plays that we're going to see.
Here was the pitch at that time.
Now watch this kid go over. Watch that dive all the way over. Now look at the play. They're coming up going to third base. Yeah, that's real thinking out there, Jim.
Looks like a big league game played by miniature men. That's all, the way that play went. Now the next batter is in there. It's Joe Palango, the pitcher. The count on him right now is 1-1. A ball and a strike. Nobody out. Bottom of the third. Runner on first.
It appears that this Canadian ball club is taking a play with sheer hustle. Now, the other club doesn't have the drive, in my opinion. And sometimes this pays off. And this little Ricky Ferroni, for instance, the going over from first to third on the sacrifice, things of this, well, it was a base hit, actually. And things of this nature kind of takes the heart out of somebody who doesn't have the determination.
There's another bunt. Well placed. And there's no play. No play. Dale Missier came in and fielded that ball for Connecticut. But by the time he picked it up, he saw he just couldn't get him. So that'll go as a bunt single for Joe Palango. It is the second hit of the baseball game for either team, and both have been bunts.
Yes, and well-played bunts. But they were making certain that time that they didn't have a man going to third base on them. And when the first baseman came up with the ball, Dale Missick, he just didn't have any place to throw the ball.
And that shows, as you said, Jackie, how you can put the pressure on the other team with heads-up play, not only for the play that you do it on, but for the rest of the ball game.
That's right. They are thinking that, well, they're not going to do it again, and so instead of thinking about the man going to first base, he could have had his thoughts on the guy going from first to second.
Count 1 ball and no strikes to Gary Barkowitz, who struck out in the first inning. And that evens the count at 1-1. He'll have to go back, of course.
You watch on Gary's bunting here. He doesn't get the ball, the bat out in front of him. He's got it at an angle. And if he's going to bunt that ball, I think that he's got to start practicing getting the ball parallel to the ground, getting out in front of him, and bunting the ball that way instead of his bat is at an angle. He'll very seldom get a bunt down.
Ball. That was a good tip from Jackie Robinson for you young fellas at home on how to bunt. I learned a lot about baseball by watching and listening very closely here this afternoon. The count is 2 balls and 1 strike. Nobody out. 2 men on base to Gary Barkowitz. And it's ball 3, and Mike Roach is having definite control problems now.
Watching him warm up, you would think he had excellent control.
Right. It's in there, 3-2. Full count now to Barkowitz. Barkowitz, one of the 4 biggest boys on the Stoney Creek, Canada team. On Wide World of Sports, by the way, we always have many viewers, gratefully, in Canada, and we're sure glad that today we're able to bring them a very special thing having to do with their own country. And that was a called third strike. One out then, 2 men on base, and the batter Ron Kenny, who struck out in the second inning. Canada leading again. If you've just joined us, 1-0. We're in the bottom of the third inning of a 6-inning ball game here for the Little League World Series Championship. Kenny takes a good cut, but he seems to take it a little late.
Yes, the ball was by him that time, Jim. He didn't have much of a chance to hit that pitch.
Foul, and it's 0-2.
Mike is kind of throwing a little bit harder now. He has a pretty good fastball, but he seems to, at times to me, to try to throw a little harder than he's capable of throwing and causing his timing to go off, causing him to get pretty wild at missing the plate as he has. But he can throw fairly hard.
Noticed also, Jackie, he seems to have more success with his control against these bigger batters, which would figure, but against the little fellas, he really seemed to be trying a little too hard there.
I would agree with that, yes.
The ball and 2 strikes now. And it stays that way. 1 away, runners on first and second. By the way, there are 6 umpires in this ball game, just as there would be in the Major League World Series. 1 at every base and 1 on each foul line. And he struck him out, 2 away. Mike Roach pitching under pressure here. The first 2 men got on base this inning. He has struck out the next 2, and that brings up Jeff Dalton, who walked in the second inning and has scored the only run of the ball game to date. There's Dalton.
were talking about Little League baseball, how good it was. When you think about the men who are on the board of trustees and who support this Little League team, men like Herb McCracken, Bill Shea, who brought baseball back to New York, and Fred Lewis of the Herald Tribune Fresh Air Fund, men like this, Clifford Brownell of Columbia University. You've got to know that these men really believe in this game of baseball.
No question of that. The count now, 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 out and 2 men on base to Jeff Dalton, the center fielder of Canada. Fifth. So Mike Rose, after getting the first 2 men on base, has struck out the side in the bottom of the third for Canada. No runs on no hits. There were no errors. 2 men left on base, however, in the score at the end of 3 full innings. Canada 1 and Connecticut nothing. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Little League World Series on it. We're back at the Little League World Series in Williamsport. Jim McKay along with Jackie Robinson and Sonny Fox. Quick reminder while we have a moment here that the decision to quit high school can cost young people thousands of dollars in future earnings. Young men and women with the better education and training will win the good jobs. President Johnson urges our country's youth to stay in school and graduate. Hang in there, no matter how hard it is. There's a line shot into right field, the first hit of the ball game for the Connecticut team. Line signal by Francis Anello with the runner on first. As we get the official attendance, it's the largest crowd in Little League history. 21,000 people are here, Jackie.
Well, they're all over the place on the hills and everything. They certainly brought the crowd from Connecticut to their feet with that line drive to right field.
That was a strike. No balls and 1 strike to the big hitter on the Connecticut team, Dale Missick. He's been a 400 hitter in the Little League World Series. He's big, 5 feet 10 and 180 pounds. Ball 1, 1-1. Nobody out, man on first.
Well, he knows he's a good hitter. He's bearing down pretty hard on him. He gave him that good pitch, and then he came back with a fastball motion. Took a little bit off, but the pitch came in just a little bit too high.
Ball 2, 2-1. Jackie, we didn't have time to mention anything when I was talking about the youngsters finishing school, but I saw your head going up and down pretty good, as if you agree with that.
Oh, I do. I think this is the most important thing they can do, get a real good education.
Strike 2, 2-2.
He's going in and out, up and down on these hitters. He's doing a fine job out there. Win or lose, you must give him credit.
Remember the name, Joe Palango. You might see him in the big leagues someday. That was in front of the plate, a wild pitch. The runner's going down to second, but a great save by the catcher. Almost enabled him to get the ball down and get that shot.
Yeah, it was a heads-up piece of base running, too, on the part of that young man. He saw the balls in the dirt and took off, got himself in the scoring position.
So Anello goes down to second on the wild pitch. The batter is still Missick with the count. 3 balls, 2 strikes now. That's a high fly ball to center field. It's going to be close. It is a home run.
Probably the happiest moment in his lifetime. He hit that ball up in the wind, and it just kept carrying and cleared that fence without any trouble.
But the Windsor Locks batter still went out, albeit upside down. Try to tell the Canadian boys to hang in there. But Connecticut, trailing by 1-0 with 1 stroke of the big bat of Dale Missick, has taken the lead at 2-1 in the top of the 4th. Now with nobody out, the batter is still Boardman. Ground ball to that little shortstop, Ricky Peroni, over to first, and he's out. So we've seen so far that neither one of these ball clubs shakes in any way. Connecticut, when they were down by a run, couldn't get a hit, couldn't get a man around, still hung in there, and got their big hitter up and got the lead. But again, we saw little Ricky Peroni not being shaken by that play.
If you had seen him after the home run, he'd turn around and hollered at every player on the team to keep pitching, keep working hard. You know, this game is not over by a long shot. They're going to battle all the way down.
One and one is the count now. Nobody on. Substitution in left field now for Canada is Doug McKay. Got to be good with that name.
I think he's a son of the hockey player from Detroit that played for Detroit. Wasn't there a McKay on?
I think that's right. Yes,
and I think I was told earlier.
There he is, out in left field. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. The ground ball back up the middle. It's a base hit. Hit home, singling into center. Bringing up pitcher Mike Roach. One away, runner on first, 2 runs in, top of the 4th. The team at bat, Connecticut, leads 2-1 over Canada. In the dirt and back to the screen, and on he goes to second.
They're certainly getting the encouragement from their manager and coach over there. They're giving them, well, they got the momentum. They want to keep it going.
1 ball and no strikes. You think Joe Palango might be tiring a little bit here, Jack?
Well, he doesn't seem to have the determination that we noted earlier, but I doubt seriously if he's tiring at this point. He just, as I pointed out, he has that herky-jerky motion that indicates a little bit of wildness, and it could, Jim, very well mean that he has lost some of his effectiveness from tiredness.
And that's ball 2, 2-0. With a runner on second and 2 runs in. It's the moment when he must settle down, and the wind is still blowing out, even brisker now, towards left field. The wind that was of just enough assistance to get that home run out of the ballpark. That's a high one, but it's in the back of the plate. Maybe a play. Third baseman's got it. It was 2 away, and they hold the runner on second. Again, we saw everybody in the Canadian infield doing exactly the right thing, didn't we, Jackie, after that catch?
Shortstop moved over to cover third base. Everybody right in there put heads-up play.
2 away. Another batter is Steve Shearer, who struck out in the 3rd inning. That's strike. He caught the outside corner that time.
Right. These Connecticut boys, they really are battling back. And I tell you, when that home run on a pitch, you've never seen a more enthusiastic group of youngsters. They really let out a yell.
Oh. It's a ball. 1-1. 2 away. Runner on second. 2 runs in. Top of the 4th. And it feels like a cold front is coming through the eastern United States. It's really getting cool up there.
Yeah, that wind is jumping, too.
That might be in there. It is. Base hit. Here comes the runner around third. The throw to the plate is not in time. Runner goes on into second. Steve Shearer singles to left field. Chances to second on the throw to the plate. More importantly, back to Ted Holmes scores. And it's now 3-1 Connecticut. With Wayne Aaron at the plate. He walked in the 3rd inning. Looking for his first hit in the Little League World Series. He's 0 for 12. Wayne is the catcher for the Connecticut team, although he apparently is not too strong a man with the stick. When he's catching, you can see why he's in the lineup. He's a good defensive ball player.
He is that. He gives that pitcher a good target in there.
0-1. Strike 2. Joe Palango down by 2 runs now, trying to get this last out in the 4th inning. That's it. So in the top of the 4th inning, Connecticut sent 7 men to the plate. They got 3 runs on 4 hits. There were no errors, and they now lead 3-1 over Stoney Creek, Canada. Now, Sonny Fox is down along the sidelines there, and I believe he's with some of the folks from Connecticut right now. Sonny, what do you have for us?
What was a fairly quiet part of the stands up until a few moments ago suddenly came to life, especially when Dale Missick hit that home run. And with me in this crowd are Dale Missick's family. Would you all, could you stand up for a moment, Mrs. Missick? Could you stand up? This is Mr. Missick. And he's getting almost as big a hand from the crowd as Dale did. And this is Mrs. Missick. How do you feel?
I'm fine. Nervous.
Nervous? I imagine you're more tense than they are.
Oh, yeah.
When did you get down here?
Monday.
You've been here the whole week?
Yeah.
How did you feel, sir?
I don't know. I just... I don't know how the heck I feel. That ball, I didn't think it was going to clear the fence.
I saw you bouncing up. I wondered who the parents were, and I looked around, and I kind of picked you out.
Well,
Listen, could you pick up Could you pick up what? Take it up there again? Let me just show them the daughter. Just pick her up for a moment, will you? This is his kid sister. She's had her own little accident over here, which was, she's in a cast. How did she get that?
She broke her arm. She was trying to roller skate.
Well, you'll be all right, and I'm sure that home run will make you feel a lot better and make it feel a lot faster. Enjoy the rest of the game. Back upstairs to Jim McKay and Jackie Robinson.
Okay, Sonny, and we'll be back in just a minute at the Little League World Series. We're back in Williamsport, Pennsylvania again, and if you've just joined us, what we're watching is the final game of the Little League World Series played this afternoon right here in the ballpark in Williamsport. Well, that's the team from Windsor Locks, Connecticut, had rallied for 3 runs in the top of the 4th to take the lead 3-1 over the boys from Stoney Creek, Ontario, Canada. There was no more scoring for a while, so we're going to move right now to the moments of climax in the baseball game. In the bottom of the 4th, the boys from Canada got a couple of men on base but could not score. The 5th inning was scoreless for both teams. Matter of fact, Connecticut went down 1-2-3 in the 5th, and it was evident that the boy pitching for Canada had his stuff back again just as he had earlier in the ball game. That was the story in the bottom of the 4th and the top of the 5th, the bottom of the 5th. Now let's get back to the play in the 6th inning. With Jackie Robinson and Sonny Fox back in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. That's the first take to Dale Missick, which was almost another home run, a foul ball down the left field line. The man at the plate is the man of the hour in this World Series. He hit a home run in the 4th inning with a man on base to bring his team from behind and give him the lead. And if he had just held up another fraction on that one, Jack, that would have been gone.
Well, he hit that as hard as anyone has hit a ball here. That ball got out of here and nothing flattered. We said about another one earlier, but the manager, the coach of the Canada Ball Club called a young fellow in to try to explain something to him. But this young man that's hitting now, Jim, is strong, and he takes an awfully good cut at the ball.
Big Dale Missick, 180 pounds of him. He's got a walk and a home run. We're counting them now, no balls and 1 strike.
You see what the coach told him now? You can tell him that he hit the fastball for a home run. He hit that fastball for a pitch over there. So he obviously told him that he's a fastball hitter, giving anything but.
He was trying to give him a big curve that time.
Right. Big motion, big curve, big motion, big change of pace.
A ball and 2 strikes now then on Dale Missick. The first batter in the top of the 6th inning. The final inning, unless the ball game is tied up. 6 innings, the standard length of a Little League baseball game. Ball 2-2.
Now he's gotten advice, Dale has from his coach. Get up and look further in the box, they told him. If they're changing up on him.
Down the right field line, it's going to be fouled. Count remains at 2-2. Jack, you know, there's something like 600 ball players under contract to major league teams who started in Little League now. Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, they go around and scout like they're looking for people in business these days.
That's right. 3-2, full count now to Missick.
I'll say one thing. It's too bad the little kid at shortstop isn't a bigger boy, and he doesn't appear to be one that's going to grow a great deal, because this is the kind of an individual they're looking for, with the tremendous hustle and fights all the way down. And he's going to make somebody an awfully good man, whether it's in baseball or not. Look at the size of him.
Ball 4, and so he lost Missick, walked him after he had him down at 0-2. And Connecticut has a base runner with nobody out in the top of the 6th. The batter will be Bill Boardman. Boardman has flied out to right and grounded out to shortstop. And there's the bunt. Well executed, and the runner goes on down to second. One away, man on second. The batter will be Ted Holmes, who singled in the 4th inning in the midst of that big 3-run rally for Connecticut. Well, no matter what, Joe Palango can go back to Canada, a very proud young man. And there's that shortstop again.
Yes, and, you know, Canada can be awfully proud of their team. they have done absolutely nothing to be ashamed of out here. They've battled. They've done everything they could to bring the championship home to Canada, but they just ran into a big first baseman and a determined Connecticut ball club.
And determined the boys from Connecticut are. They've played a great ball game this afternoon. All you have to do is look at the scoreboard. Only one error has been charged, and that actually was almost a judgment kind of an error on an extra base that was taken.
Absolutely. They played a very fine game, and there have been some excellent plays in the field.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, man on second. Top of the 6th inning. Team at bat leads 3-1. It's the final game of the Little League World Series. And that's foul. We were saying earlier that somebody's going to have a few tears after this game is over. Somebody has to lose. But on the other hand, all of these boys really felt that they had done the job when they got to Williamsport. To be one of the surviving 8 teams out of many, many thousands is enough of a reward in itself.
Well, they weren't the only ones that cared. You know, when we lost the World Series, and it's to these guys are the World Series. And we shed a few tears, too, when we blew World Series. So they don't have to be ashamed of the fact that they're going to shed a few tears whether they win or lose out here. This is something that means a great deal to them. They've done the best they can. They don't have to be ashamed of it.
That's Mike Roach, the pitcher, lining a single to left field, and the runner holds at third base, and here he comes to second. On the throw, Roach goes on down to second. Men on second and third then with 2 out, and the batter's going to be Steve Shearer, the third baseman, who struck out and singled. Polanco here, the pitcher, has only given up 3 walks in this ball game, by the way. One of them in this inning. And now batting for Connecticut is Steve Shearer. High fly ball to left. It's catchable. When he caught it, but just about. Drew McKay out there almost lost that hit.
They put him in for defensive purposes, and he made a fine play on that one.
Well, that's the story then in the top of the 6th. Just one more turn at bat left to the trailing Canadian team. The score at the end of 5.5 innings of play, Connecticut 3 and Canada 1, and we'll be back in a minute with the final half inning of the Little League World Series. Coming up right now, then, is the final half inning of play in today's final game of the Little League World Series played here in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. We'll be moving on from here, by the way, to Akron, Ohio, where tomorrow afternoon, ABC Sports will be bringing you exclusively the American Golf Classic. Things just seem to get busier and busier here at ABC Sports. I hope you'll stay with us. Mentioned a few minutes earlier, there's going to be quite a fall on ABC's Wide World of Sports, and this bit of tang we have in the air this afternoon reminds me of that. You know, by all well-authenticated accounts, the fastest-growing sport in the United States is motorsport, automobile racing, motorcycle racing, things like that. We're going to have a good deal of it for you. For example, the Southern 500 Stock Car Championship in Darlington, South Carolina, the granddaddy of all the stock car races. All the big boys will be there. Junior Johnson and Darrell Dieringer and Marvin Panch and all those fellas. We'll have the National Drag Racing Championship from Indianapolis, Indiana. The National Motorcycle Race of Champions from Winchester, Virginia. The National Air Races, speed of every kind on the ground and in the air. In addition to that, some of our regular and perennial treats, the Pendleton Roundup Rodeo. We're going to have the National Surfing Championship from Montauk Beach in Long Island. And many, many more things coming up on Wide World of Sports this fall. Baseball, the order of the day right now, however. Let's get back to it, the final half inning of the Little League World Series. Mike Roach of Connecticut on the mound. And coming to the plate will be Brad Ackles. It's actually the tail end of the Canadian batting order. 7th, 8th, and 9th hitters. Ackles, the right fielder, as I said, will be the first batter. And in his previous appearances, he beat out a bunt and hit that high ground ball, not a ground ball, really, hit the plate straight up in the air, and he was thrown out at first.
Right. Jim, you know, as I look out at the scoreboard, I see a sign that says Little League represents democracy in action. And as we look at the number of kids from all over this world, we certainly can agree with that statement. And I think that, once again, I'd like to pay tribute to all of the officials of the Little League here in Williamsport who have done an excellent job bringing Little League baseball to these youngsters.
2 balls, no strikes to the first batter. Bottom of the 6th, the last inning, unless they tie it up. As you said, Jackie, the teams were here from all over the world, from Japan, from Venezuela, from Spain. And that is 3-0.
You know what he's doing out there? He's just trying to get the ball over the plate, aiming it, rather than to rear back and throw as hard as he was early in the game. This sometimes happens to fellows who feel they must get the ball over, so they aim the ball.
Strike one.
That time he reared and threw as hard as he could.
Strike two. He must have heard you, Jackie.
He's bearing down now, I'll tell you. They've got to try to keep that man off the base. A tying run comes to the plate. It's always dangerous, especially to win as it is.
Foul. Count remains at 3-2. The first batter in the bottom of the sixth, the last inning of the Little League World Series, 1965. The weather holding off. We've had a good break on it. It's been cloudy and overcast most of the afternoon, but not a drop of rain has fallen so far. There's one true shortstop. It's a slow ball. Here's the throw to first. He didn't get him.
Tell you one thing, he went down that line. He can run for a little fellow.
Brad Ackles beating that out for a base hit, so the first man has gotten on. And here we have Carl Betts, who has walked twice. The youngster who was hit on the wrist with a pitched ball earlier. Right. The third baseman of Stoney Creek, Canada.
They're going down fighting, as they said earlier. They're not going to quit, so this is also a tribute. But win or lose, they can be proud of their performance out here today.
There's Wayne Arendt, the catcher who's calling the pitches for Connecticut and doing a real good job of it. Ball two. 2-1. Nobody out, remember. Tying run at the plate. As Canada trails 3-1. 21,000 people paying rapt attention. And there's a strike. 2-2. A look at the base runner, the pitcher, the batter, and the catcher all at once. And that is ball three. He didn't miss by much.
He didn't miss by much, and I'll tell you, everybody's biting fingernails in that dugout. This is the real test right here. You're leading by 2 runs, a tying run on the plate, and he strikes him out. Really good job.
There's one away then. Runners still at second, and the batter is scheduled to be Doug Smeeze. Doug Smeeze, the catcher, coming to the plate. Smeeze has struck out in both of his previous trips to the plate. Ball. The base runner, little Brad Ackles, as soon as that ball reaches home plate, begins to take his lead off the bag, just in case. Right. 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out.
Tell you, this is really interesting as you note the enthusiasm of the substitutes on the bench.
There's ball 2.
They're screaming, Jim. I'm sorry, but I just see them screaming just, as if this is the biggest moment in their lives, which it probably is.
It sure is. Right. That's 2. It's 2-2. 1 away. There's Mike Wilkes looking for that sign. He's struck out. The runner holds the second. Takes for third at the moment. Rather to hold up. Mike really threw that last pitch with very little delay.
Well,
Almost looked like they might have called 2 pitches ahead of time or something.
That's right. He really drew back and got a good pitch on that. And now the anticipation of victory here. You got everybody talking, telling what's happened. The manager and coach is practically out in the field.
Now the whole burden falls on a young fellow coming up to the plate named Darrell Ostrasser. It's going to be a conference with the Connecticut manager and his pitcher and catcher. And it's over. It didn't take very long.
This young man, Jim, has made 2 of the finest plays in the entire game. He made a sparkler in the first inning and took another base hit away.
Foul strike. He's 2 strikes away from victory. The batter, Ostraker, right here, has walked, struck out, and walked. Man on second. No balls. 1 strike. 2 out. Bottom of the 6th and final inning, unless they tie it up. Strike 2. And Mike Roach is 1 strike away from the Little League championship. And should he get it, watch those kids from Connecticut.
Already the Connecticut fans are at the fence screaming and yelling. They're ready to take this victory back to their little city up there near Hartford.
That's it. The ball game is over. Jackie, I hate to stir this kind of memory for you, but that looks very much like the scene right after a fellow named Bobby Thompson hit a home run long, long ago.
We don't even talk about that. Look, Yankees in 55. To me, I don't even think about Bobby's home run. It was perhaps the most dramatic moment in baseball.
Okay, well, there are the kids from Connecticut who have just won the Little League World Series championship. We'll be back in a minute. We're back at Williamsport Archers, down in that wild scene on the playing field. Sonny?
Yeah, how's you? I'm down here, and I hope I can stay around for a while. This is the pitcher, and these are his parents. Could you all just clear for a moment while we speak to the pitcher? Thank you very much. Mike, you had some anxious moments, I would imagine, there earlier in the game when you were a little wild and the two-pass ball. What was wrong last time?
I don't know. I just couldn't get control.
Were you nervous?
Yes.
I think that was part of it. How was your hay fever?
It was all right.
That didn't bother you at all.
No.
Mike did have hay fever, does have hay fever, had to take a pill this morning, right, Mom?
Right, right.
How do you two feel?
I guess we're about the happiest people in the world right now.
How about you?
Same thing for me.
Are there any brothers and sisters around here with you?
We got Sister Mary here somewhere.
Mary, maybe she's been trampled in this crowd here. She'll come around.
Here she is.
Mary? Come on over here, Mary. You want to give him a kiss? He deserves it, I think. Thank you. Mike, you look stunned. What now? What are you going to do right now? Right as soon as you leave here, what are you going to do?
I don't know.
Can you go up and take a swim?
Yeah, I guess so.
He's as cool now as he was all during that whole game, I do believe. Congratulations to you and to all your teammates. Where are the managers? Are they around here at all? No, they're gone over there. All right, well, that's the scene down here on the film. Take it back, Jim.
Okay, thanks very much, Sonny. Did you notice, Jackie, the only person in the Roach family whose voice wasn't trembling was young Mike himself. And I guess that's what makes him a great competitor and a great ball player.
Yes, that's true. He is to be congratulated. Whatever he got in his trouble, he reached back and got just a little bit extra and brought him through for victory. And I think that the manager and the coaches ought to be congratulated. But also, we can't take anything away from the losing team and from Little League Baseball. If you notice the way that these kids are lining up, congratulating the winners, and then, although with tears streaming down their face, went back to their own dugout, I think this is a tribute. They've learned how to lose, and I think it's going to help them. And perhaps it could help us, too, if we just took a page out of Little League book and play hard, do the best we possibly can. When it's over, we go congratulate the winner and say, next time, we're going to beat you. I congratulate them for the fine job they did, Jim.
Very well said, Jackie, and thanks to you for an excellent job this afternoon as our expert commentator.
Well, it's been nice being with you.
Jackie Robinson. Right now, let's take a look forward to next week on Wide World of Sports.